Yes.
They want you to use the word genocide.
Well, you don't have to use it in so much words, but yeah, it comes down to that.
Welcome, Lianda, otherwise known as Lillie. We've agreed that I will call you Lillie. Lillie from the Plaas, Lillie from the farm. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, and thank you for having me.
Well, there you are. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. No complaints. Bored. We are a bit bored now. It's getting the process is really it takes a bit of time before you are able to work and all of that, but we are good.
Yeah. Give us the background, Lillie. You are part of I think the second batch that there was first the group of, I think, 59. I think you were part of the second group. You left what?
I know we are in the first 400 that came over. Our process went very fast, to be honest. Everything since we applied to the day that we landed in America took us 2 months. Yeah, didn't get any time to hesitate or think about it. But in general, very happy, very, very excited to be here, to start over. Not always easy. But then you look at your children and you think, this is freedom for them, eh? They can ride bicycles outside until it gets dark.
Yeah. Tell me, if you can, give me an idea of exactly where are you at the moment. I know you're in Dallas, big city.
Yes, we are basically in the center.
In the center of the city. Give us an idea, and you're there with your husband and 2 children.
Yes, 2 boys.
Yeah.
In elementary school.
Okay. And it's been 6 months now. How have they and the family? How have you adapted?
No, we've only been here for 1 month now. Just over 1 month. Oh. Yes.
Okay.
Just over 1 month. You get your good days and you get days that's a little bit more of a challenge because it is a huge cultural shock. Everything is different. Everything works different. Even the SMSs works differently. So it's a lot of adjustment to do. I think the kids are coping better. You know, it's easier for children. I was very worried about school and do I need report cards? Because my children didn't go to school for about 2 months before they got enrolled here. And I think that was the last thing I should have been worried about, because that was the easiest, getting them into a school. I was very lucky. My children went to school in English, in an English school in South Africa. So, but there's so much assistance that they give their children if your children's not Afrikaans, you know, or is not English. They do help a lot in schools, yeah. So yeah, for us, it's been a journey. It's brought people over our paths that I would never have thought. But we are here and we are making the best of it every day.
Yeah, just give me an idea what happens when you leave South Africa. We're going to get later in the discussion. I want to go back to the beginning of this whole journey, where it all started.
Okay.
But for now, I just want to focus a little bit on Dallas. You're arriving there a month ago. What happens? What do you do now? I was going to use the word dumped. Are you just placed in an apartment or given an apartment? Or...
No. It's not really like that. So from the minute you arrive at the airport, there is someone on your journey with you. Not the same person all the time, but there's someone with you. At every airport, when we arrived in Dallas, we had an agent from a certain agency waiting for us who were the name board. He said to us, now you must remember, all the agencies are different. Not every case is handled the same way. So we were told we're going to go look at some apartments. We were tired. That's the last thing I was actually looking forward to doing, but we did that. So he wanted us to choose an apartment that day because they were waiting to offload furniture for us and they needed an address. So we looked at an apartment. As we walked out and said, we're taking it, he made a phone call and they started offloading our furniture. Very basic furniture. Then we signed the lease. We went he took us to a shop to buy some snacks for the children, some cold drink. We got pizza for the night, and then he took us to a hotel room, told us he'll fetch us 11 o'clock the next morning. We had breakfast the next morning, and then we came to our apartment, dropped off the bags, gave us basic stuff. It's really basic stuff. You think it's okay, but it's a week in, you realize it's a lot. This basic stuff is a lot not to cope with. You miss your cutting board. I know it sounds insane, but basic utensils that you don't have, you miss that. And he took us shopping, grocery shopping for a week, enough to last us a week, and it did. It lasted us a week. And then I had a bit of a emotional day. And a lady phoned me. I had a South African lady to come and visit us here. She was on my page and she reached out, and she gave my number to a network of ladies that's in America. And let me tell you, I reached out for a shoulder to cry on, and I got so much more. An entire network of ladies that reached out, and just Afrikaner ladies, South African ladies that lives in the US now. And they just helped with everything. And we have had 2 medicals up to now. We have been to the Social Security offices, and we have to wait until next week for another meeting or interview. With the shutdown, the national shutdown in America at the moment, everything is delayed. So we haven't got our work permits yet. We don't have our Social Security numbers yet. So we can't really do anything yet.
Yeah. Just give me, I know it's going to sound like a rude question now, but you said you arrived in the city, there's somebody that met you at the airport, you're taken to a building, you're shown an apartment, etc., etc. Here is your apartment, let's go and get some groceries for you. My first thought in my mind is, hold on, is this stuff that you pay out of your own pocket, or is this part of American sponsorship? This is all...
Okay, so this is all part of the American sponsorship. Every office or agency is doing things differently. Like, we didn't get a phone. Some people get cellular phones on arrival. We didn't get that. I was very bummed about that. I know it sounds horrendous, but I expected that, because everyone I heard of received a phone and we didn't receive one. So I had to run down to the office for like 2 weeks to be able to communicate with the family we've left behind. So we had to pay for our, it's called insurance for your housing.
Mm-hmm.
We had to pay for our insurance a year up front, which was, I think it was $100, just over $100. We also had to pay for our electricity, a deposit. That was also, I think, $200, because you don't have Social Security. And this is what we actually talked about this earlier on today. Because you don't have a Social Security number, you don't have any credit background in this country, they require a lot of upfront payments. Mm-hmm. When we got our Wi-Fi, they wanted us to do an upfront payment. Everything they want upfront. But it was luckily we could do that. Not everyone has to do that. I know around very close to us, there's 2 other refugee families and they didn't have to do that.
Give me a breakdown on all of this. The American government, and we're going to go back to, as I said later in the program, we'll talk about really going back to your own personal journey in South Africa and what brought you to this point. But I want to just get into this now. Do you have to pay the ticket back for the flight that you took to get here? Or were you part of a group that got here? To what an extent are you responsible for your own keep in the United States of America as you're sitting there right now?
Right now, I don't have to pay my ticket back yet. We do eventually. I think it's required from your 7th month here. And it comes down to, I think, $20 for the 4 of us. It comes down to $20 or $30 a month.
Mm-hmm.
That we have to pay back eventually. But right now we got some checks. This was before the shutdown. So we could pay our water and our electricity. But food, they look after you. They look after us. We've been I think it also depends on your agent, how fast he applies for all your benefits and grants. It's also, we had a SNAP card. He got a emergency SNAP card for us, which has expired now because we don't have social security numbers. So the next month in, we don't have SNAP. And with the national shutdown, until that is resolved, we're not going to have SNAP. But we have food. There's a lot of food banks here, which I never thought I would go to. But really good food, it's from nuts to yogurts to cheese to everything that you need, milk, eggs. We don't need anything. Also, there's 2 meals provided for the kids at schools. That's absolutely free. School is free, schooling is free, the bus is free. So there's a lot of that you need to consider as well. So we just need to be at the moment.
What is your official status now, and what does the process look like going forward? Are you officially now registered as a refugee in the United States?
Yes.
Okay. And the process going forward, what are we looking at?
I think after a year, we will be permanent residents. And then after 4 years additional to that, you can apply to become a citizen.
Yeah. And with your current refugee status, are you able to go and get a job, for example?
Once you have your social security number, yes, and your work permit.
And that's still being processed at this moment as we speak?
Yes.
Yeah. And
normally it's very fast. I know some people, once they landed in America, it was a week after they received theirs with the postal services. But with everything going on now, the shutdown and everything, there is a bit of a delay.
Yeah. But as it is right now, Lillie, you are in the hands of a kind of a social network that the Americans provide for you. Just tell me about the rest of the people that came on the same flight as you did, and also the 59 that arrived on the first flight. Are you in some way connected to all of these other folks on WhatsApp?
I am connected. Yes. So there's quite a few WhatsApp groups. I think a lot of people connect through the group of the women that I told you about. That it's a huge network. I think they are about 12,000 South African women in America. That's all connected to this network. We still talk to a guy that was on the plane with us from Cape Town quite often. He's not in the same state as us, but he's got a job. He got his social security numbers sorted. He just got a job offer now, lovely apartment, also being well looked after.
Okay, and how have they organized this? Are you guys all sprinkled all over the different states in the US? or are you concentrated in an area, or how does that figure?
No, no, no. Everyone, we only found out we're coming to Dallas a few days before when we got our flight tickets.
Yeah.
We didn't know we were coming here. Everyone is all over America. Unless you have a family who, I think they call it a sponsorship family. So if this is your brother or your mother or someone living here and you are going to be staying with them, you can't really choose where you go to.
Yeah, yeah. But this must be uh, uh, crazy times, I would imagine. I mean, you
It
leave that,
is.
and you are in a city that you have no prior knowledge about, and you have to discover everything. Tell me about that.
Every day is a learning curve, eh? Every day. From the drones that deliver stuff, you know, to to people driving on the wrong side of the road. Every day is a learning curve, and it's difficult at times. I am a very positive person, and it gets hard for me too.
Yeah,
So, and I'm a strong person, so I can, I can imagine what it must be, what people that's not strong in nature must go through. But I just focus on the positive. I just focus that I'm grateful to be here, that I get to learn all these new things, that I get to see all these different cultures and meet different cultured people. Because we have met so many different cultured people at this moment. The apartment complex where we stay, we're the only South Africans, and there's no Americans staying here, just between us. So it's other refugee families from all over the world. But they've welcomed us, and yeah, we're very happy to be here. We
yeah,
miss home. You miss home. Don't get me wrong. You miss home. You miss your people. You miss a braai. You miss watching the rugby with your people. But this is where we are now,
yeah.
and we've got to make it work.
That's quite extraordinary. Just give us, I just want to orientate myself a little bit about around you, yourself, and your family. Back in South Africa, I know that when we made contact for the first time, you said to me, you don't want to talk politics. I think you said you're a bags and shoes lady or something like that. That sounded like you in clothing or.
I speak beauty. I speak
No,
beauty in shoes.
no, beauty and shoes. Beauty and shoes. So sketch to me just what did you do in South Africa, your professional career, and you said that you lived in a small town. Just give us an idea of your background.
So yeah, we lived on the coast. I owned a salon. Rian used to farm. Uh, but then we moved to PE. And yeah, there's just some things that happened, and we moved to PE for 5 months, and then we came over here.
Hmm. Hmm.
So PE prepared us for the city.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, let's go back to the entire journey. Let's unpack this whole story. Um, let's start with this question. How did you and when did you, for the first time, learn about Trump's executive order?
Well, like I speak shoes, my husband follows everything politics,
Hmm.
you know. So he mentioned it the day it was announced. And at first I didn't want to. I said to him, no, if it comes through, and I believe I think this was early this year or late last year. My husband mentioned it to me, but we didn't even think about it then. And when it opened, he started talking about it. And I was still in doubt, even though there's just so much things in South Africa that's making a bright future for your children difficult. It's still your country, it's your people. And due to the fact that family, you don't want to leave anyone behind.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I wasn't keen on it at first. But then you think about smaller children, you know, the people you leave behind, people that's lived a life. And you have to think about little children's futures. And that's how we decided.
Yeah. Yeah. You said that you lived in, did you say Port Elizabeth, if I remember correctly?
The last 5 months we were in South
The
Africa.
last 5 months. So then I assume that your husband was no longer a farmer, or was he a farmer
Yeah,
before?
yes, he was farming before when we stayed on the coast. He did bananas and macadamia nuts.
Okay. So he's actually so your husband is a farmer.
Yes, well, not anymore. We're in Dallas now, so he's got a bit of background with Sun International, um, in the food and beverage industry. So he's got that to fall back on now.
Yeah, yeah. What triggered within him the interest when he heard about Trump's executive order? You live with your
Oh,
two sons in Port Elizabeth. He comes home from work, or whatever the case might be, and he says, "Hey, there's this thing called the Trump executive order." What triggered that?
oh, that's been coming along. That's been just the fact, you know, how unsafe we felt on the farm
Hmm.
to start off with. Um, we knew so many people. We still know so many people that were attacked on their farms, brutally attacked. Um, the fact that as a white male, it's so hard to find a job in South Africa. And where does it leave your children? You
Hmm.
know, you're too scared. You're not allowed to talk about it because then you're a racist. You're not allowed to. You can't walk in a city because it's too unsafe. Your children can't play outside. Your children can't ride bikes outside. It's just there was just so many things that contributed.
Hmm. Hmm. Was it? I mean, I know about the situation in South Africa on the farms. I've done interviews with a number of victims of farm murders and brutal attacks. So I really fully understand the picture in terms of what's happening on South African farms. I also know the urgency of all of that. But my question to you is, what motivated uh, your husband to want to take up this offer, and how did you motivate your request for refugeeship to the Americans?
Um, well, as I said, we were attacked on the farm. They didn't get to us. Um, my son hasn't slept through since he was a baby, you know, a few weeks old.
Mhm.
Um, just our children being scared all the time.
Mhm.
That was enough motivation.
Mhm. Okay, I'm
And
trying to.
of course, it helped. You know, you get here. You know, you get, this is a um, Trump welcomed us here. You know, there
Yeah,
was someone that actually believed us that what was going on in South Africa. So many countries are blind to it.
yeah, yeah. Can you share with me the process? What happens? You make contact with the embassy. Do you make contact with the embassy in Pretoria,
Yeah, we
or?
filled in the forms online, and they called my husband. We both filled in the forms, but only he got a phone call. So what happened is they linked us. Um, then they just did a screening, a pre-screening phone call. Then a month later, he got a call. It was a Monday with just telephonic interviews, Monday and the Tuesday, back and forth, where they phoned me a few times as well to confirm certain things. Um, yeah, and then we didn't hear anything for a week. And then we got the call to say we have to come for an interview.
Yeah.
We went to Pretoria, all four of us went for our interviews. Um, we thought it was going to be one interview. It ended up being both interviews and the medicals and everything. And 2 weeks after that, we were on a plane to
So
America.
on the same day you're talking about, you go up to the meeting of the people from the embassy, and on the same day you do a medical screening.
The day after, the end of that day, we heard we're going the day after for the next interview.
Yeah.
And after the second interview, they told us to hang around Pretoria. And they gave us a date that we will go for our medicals.
Okay.
They said if we went through, they will send us an email, and we did receive the mail.
Yeah. So once you sat down with the Americans to talk about this, to fill in the forms, to get all the details that are done, within one day you got a mail back to say, yes, you're okay to go for a medical screening.
No, they actually, everything happens like in real time. So after the first day, by the time we got to the car, there was an email, because you're not allowed to take your phones in. No electronic devices, no smartwatches, nothing like that. So by the time we got to the car, we already had an email to say we have to go to the next interview the next day. And same with the last one. We received the Tuesday, we received an email to say, okay, the Wednesdays are medicals.
Yeah. Was it what you would call a tough screening process? I mean, it happened all very quickly. That's the impression that I'm getting.
Very quickly.
Yeah.
Very often. Look, I'm beauty, hey, and so I felt a bit intimidated. It is because they do it with very little emotion. It's like, oh yeah, okay. So you say this, okay, and they type, and you're like, okay, did I do this right now? Was that the correct answer? Could I have worded this better? But so my husband did the full-on interviews with me and the kids. It was intimidated, but I think the real hectic interview was with him only.
Yeah.
Because I could see all the men that came out of there, they were all like red, you could see they were, it was intense.
Yeah. Can you recall what kind of questions they asked you?
They ask you why.
The why
you have
question.
to say why. The why question. Yeah.
And
everyone know why. They know what is happening, but they want you to say it.
Yeah. And then if I'm now sitting in front of you, I'm the American who's asking this question, and I say to you, okay, Lillie, why? What was your answer?
Because I'm white and I'm endangered in that country.
And then I would say to you, but why are you? I know why you're white. You're born white, but it enlarged on the endangerment that you're talking about.
Yeah, and amongst other things, I think our government is just enabling whoever is spreading all this propaganda. I think it takes a lot of focus away from our government that's so corrupt in South Africa. But yeah, as I said, at the end of the day, it was my husband's interview that made the difference, not mine. So
yeah. Can you, when they investigate you, and I'm asking you because getting refugee status is a very difficult thing, no matter where you are in the world. It's a very tough thing to actually to qualify for refugee status. So my question is, when you make your claims, you tell them your story. Did they investigate the veracity of your personal story, and how did they investigate that?
Well, first of all, they knew a lot about us before even interviewing us.
About your personal.
I don't want to go. Yeah, I don't want to go too much into it, but they know a lot about you, even before you talk to them. They know where you've been. They know which countries you've been. they know a lot about you. They know if someone in your family has done something wrong, they know about it, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Not that
Is that because there's some kind of a pre-investigation or something like that, you
I
think?
would believe so. I would
Yeah,
believe so. You know,
yeah,
of course, they won't just open the gates and say everyone's welcome. You know, they have to check who wants to come into their country, which
yeah,
is reasonable.
yeah,
But yeah, they know a lot about you. I
yeah.
I forgot to mention I went to Mauritius because I worked out of the country as well for a long period of time. I worked in Africa, and I forgot that I went to Mauritius for one holiday with our daughter. And on my second interview, they asked me why didn't I declare that in the previous one, and I'm like, oh, you know, I'm sorry, you know, and it just really that was intense because I just forgot about the holiday, and it was so long ago. But luckily,
Mm.
I had my first passport there, and I was like, okay, it was just a week, and I went on a holiday.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
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 they know a lot about you.
yeah. But that is pretty intimidating. If you uh,
No, very, very. I think it was our second one that I actually sat there and I felt like crying. And
mhm,
that's not even with the proper interview that started, that was my husband. But while
yeah,
we were there, I felt very intimidated.
yeah,
But
yeah,
I don't think they mean to intimidate you. It's just
yeah,
that's the way it goes.
yeah,
They were very kind and very respectful, but I felt very intimidated.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Did you have to deliver any evidence? Did you have to deliver police reports and that kind of stuff to
We
back
we
up?
had stuff. We had stuff, but they didn't really ask for anything. As I said, they knew everything about our stories.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
So yeah.
Uh, if you look back at it now, I mean, they heard your story. You told your story. Are you, and you've also heard in the meantime, you've heard the criticism from a lot of people about this executive order of Donald Trump. There's been some criticism that you guys are not, in terms of international legal definitions, qualify as refugees. You've obviously heard that criticism as well. So my question to you is, when you look back at the process, would you say yes, it's fair? Uh, I lived with forms of persecution, discrimination, and the label of refugee is justified.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And now that I've been here for a month, no, absolutely. You go through things in South Africa that you don't realize it's not normal to go through that.
Mhm.
It's not normal to think it's okay to go through that.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you give me examples of what?
No, just the being the constant race thing, being blamed for everything, um, being scared, being anxious all the time. It's not normal.
Yeah.
It's really not normal. I never liked walking. Let me tell you this. Um, my husband always used to tease me about it. If we had to walk in the zoo or anything, I didn't like it. But
Yeah.
I've come to learn that I don't think it was that I didn't like it. I think it was that I didn't feel safe doing it. Because yeah, I love walking, and yeah, nobody does it.
Yeah. Yeah. When you
you
go
know,
back, Lily, when you go back in your mind, this whole thing, the investigation that they did, or the interview that you did, what did you think? If you once again, if you look back at it all, what was it that you told them that you think, okay, that's the reason why they are giving me this refugee ship, why they are uh, um, okaying my application? What did you think? What do you think it is that convince them that your story is of such a nature that you deserve
yeah,
refugeeship?
I can't answer that one because at the end of the day, that was my husband's interview.
Mhm.
That that did that. But yeah, I just think there's just so much, there's so much. And we have met so many people there at our different interviews that, their farm attacks were just so much that they survived is a miracle, or that some of them survived is a miracle. Let's put it like that. So for my family, I can't tell you because I didn't do the interview at the final interview. But I think in general, we all have the same story. It's just different.
Yeah.
If it makes sense.
Take me if you can to the moment when you got the telephone call, or your husband got the telephone call, and you heard, "We've approved." What does that look?
Well, the last 2 weeks was very stressful because we took the kids out of school because, children talk and you don't want them to be on the spot for having their parents having applied for refugee status. So we took the kids out of school. We were like, should we start selling stuff? You didn't know what was coming next. And I actually went to family to go to have coffee at a family member's house. And my husband phoned me and he just said to me, and this was because I was just so stressed out. It was really, that's all you think about. You check your emails. That last 2 weeks, I checked my emails maybe 100 times a day and you pray. Yeah. And he phoned me and he said to me, I know when we're flying. And the first thing I asked him was how. And he said, they told me. And that was 4 days from then, 3 or 4 days after they phoned him. And we still didn't know where we were going to. But I was just so relieved, that we got this opportunity. And
is it a sense of relief, in the sense of, this is over, I'm not going to be subject to the horrors of my existence anymore, to put it in over dramatic terms now, and those are my words, or is it the excitement of going to, the USA, after all, the land of dreams?
I think my excitement actually only started when we arrived here. When we got that phone call, I started crying, and I didn't stop crying until after a week being here. It's a lot, you leave your life behind, you leave everything behind, to pack up your entire life in a 23 kg bag. Not easy.
Yeah. What did you guys have to do then, Lillie? Was it a matter of, I don't know if you had a house of your own or farm. Did you sell the farm? What happened? What did you have to do to realize this whole thing?
Well, we had to give notice in our house. Mm-hmm. Because in PE we stayed in a rental house. We didn't even pack up our own stuff. We had family doing that for us. We didn't have time. Yeah. We have family in Johannesburg. So what we did was we drove through to Johannesburg the day after, to spend that time with the family we have there. Yeah. But the day before we left, that night, we only found out we're flying from Cape Town, because we were the first flight from Cape Town. So we didn't expect that. So we decided to still go through to Johannesburg. And the day of our flight to America, we flew from Johannesburg to Cape Town. And that night we flew out from Cape Town to here. Yeah. So that was a busy, busy day.
Yeah. Your husband, if I understand it correctly, was no longer a farmer, so I imagine he was employed somewhere. So did he have to resign from his company and things like that?
Yeah, he did. Luckily, we were very open with his employers about everything from the start, so they knew what was going on, which also helped us from the time he had to take off work, to do all the interviews, and so that helped. We were lucky enough to be able to be honest, because there is so many families that they do not have the ability to feel that, they are comfortable to be able to be honest.
Yeah. Well, what did you do? How long was it before you then got onto that flight? Since the moment that you heard you've been approved of to the point of actual departure, what kind of time frame are we talking about?
4 days.
4 days. That's
Yeah.
crazy. That's absolutely
It
crazy.
is. Yeah, it is. And we only heard 3 days before we left where we're going to, that we're coming to Dallas.
Yeah. But now, so here, I mean, that's a hell of a of time to try to organize everything, like getting rid of your house, resigning from your job,
No,
all of those things. I mean, it was just a matter of picking up the telephone and saying to your husband, to the company that he was working for, guys, I'm off in 4 days' time.
that's almost how it went.
What did you do with all your furniture and your stuff?
The stuff I couldn't sell in a few days, I left it behind. I gave it away. I gave a lot of stuff away. There is still some stuff that's being sold as we are being here. But I think what helped me was the day we left, the stuff that I didn't have buyers for. In my mind, I said, that's cutting our losses. You just by coming here is such a big blessing that how can you dwell on what's left behind?
Yeah.
I don't know if it makes sense, but for me, it was, I had more to be grateful for being here than to be upset about for what I've left behind.
Yeah. I would have thought that it would be very difficult to actually make decisions like that about such a major thing that happens in your life.
Oh, it is. It is extremely difficult, especially because we still have family there, we are very close with our family there. So it's very difficult. And it's not even being here, it's still difficult. But you have to keep your eye on the ball the whole time while you're doing it. Especially on the days that it's hard.
Let me ask you this question. I'm trying to get a clear image in my own head. Why the sudden urgency viewed from the American side? I mean, they give you 4 days' time to get ready.
I asked them, so there was a hiccup with our fingerprinting, which after we waited for a long time, we didn't know there was something wrong. But it's also, I didn't ask them, but someone very close to me raised this question with them, with the embassy. And it's not that there's an urgency with the flight, it's when the flights were available. They take whatever flights are available.
Yeah.
But I also think it makes sense. You don't want, with all the bad media coverage from the first original people that went over, you don't want that. You don't want all the media at the airports and writing all stories that's not true.
Yeah. Was it also the case that with you guys as well, because I know that we heard that from the first group that left, is they advised you not to talk to the media?
Nobody advised us.
No, you didn't get that.
No.
Okay, all right.
But I didn't plan on talking to a lot of people before I left, until I was here.
When the flight finally took off, you've gone through it. It must have been a very heady 4 or 5 days. You at the embassy, you get to hear a day later that you've been accepted, and 4 days later, if I understand it correctly, you're on a plane. What was it like the moment when that plane took off, and I don't know if you had a window seat or not, but you know that you are leaving the country of your birth? What was that like to
I
you?
have a window seat. I have children. They get to choose, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I know at one stage we were in the air and my husband just turned around because they were sitting in front of us. And he just said to me, "We've made it."
Mm-hmm.
I'm like,
Is it a sense of relief?
yes,
Yeah,
big,
yeah,
big relief, big
yeah.
relief.
Did
Um,
you have the time to say goodbye to family, loved ones? So we have a sound problem now, Lily.
Still,
There we go. You're back. Yeah. Shall I
okay.
rephrase that question and we just pick it up again?
Yes, please.
Did you have enough time, or did they give you at least time to say goodbye to family and friends?
We couldn't say goodbye to everyone. You know, we I think a lot of people most of our family and friends understood that we couldn't say goodbye. We were very open from the beginning. Since we got the first call, we told our close friends and family what was going on. Um, because you don't want to tell them, we didn't want to let them know a day before we left, you know, this is what's going on. So our people understood and they supported us 100%.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
there's still people's family members of ours that's been approved recently, so they will be joining us shortly, hopefully in Dallas. um, but yeah, it is you can't say goodbye to everyone,
Yeah,
unfortunately,
yeah, yeah. But did
unless
you
you have money to fly up and down to all the provinces, you know.
yeah,
And we didn't have, not just didn't have the money, but you don't have the time.
you still maintain your South African citizenship, or can you still maintain your South African citizenship, or will you become an American and give up your South African citizenship?
I know that you can, once you become, I think you can keep your South African citizenship
Yeah,
as well. I'm not sure. I don't
yeah.
want to. I don't want to say something and it comes and bites me in the back. But I know that once you get your American citizenship, you can return to South Africa, you know, to go and visit. But
Yeah.
within the next 5 years, you won't be able to do that.
So your first thing now
Yes.
is to get what your green card or whatever. Is it a green card? That's what
Yes.
they call it. And then once you've got your green card, after 5 years or whatever the case might be, you become a full American citizen. Can you, in the meantime, if you want to, fly back to South Africa and visit South Africa, if you want to visit
No.
your family? You can't do that.
No, but you wouldn't want to because you know you actually you it's not safe to be here. So why would you want to go back?
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm just asking whether it's legally possible for you to
No,
go back.
no, you can't. I think, as far as I know, you can apply to go,
Hmm.
um, but it's not to say that you'll be able to, and you might lose your refugee status by
Uh-huh.
doing that.
Yeah, yeah. I,
You're
yeah,
risking losing it. You
I,
know, why fight so hard to come here just to risk losing it?
yeah.
Doesn't make any sense.
I just want to try to figure out for myself what is the criteria at the end of the day set by the Americans for refugee status. Uh, am I right if I say that you personally and your family personally had never been the victims of direct violence or attack on yourself, on your person?
Uh, Correct.
So you're not the victims of an attack on the farm or anything like that. You personally had not actually ever been confronted with anything that is an attempted rape or an attack on your person
No,
or
no,
anything.
no. They came in on our farm.
Mhm.
Um, just you know, most of South African farmers, well, not even just the farmhouses. Most South African houses has these gates in the middle by the rooms,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
that helps. You know, that's what helped us.
Yeah.
Um, uh, Rian has lost a job because they told them straight up, you know, this position needs to go to someone else of a different race.
Mhm.
So So yeah, we've been there. It's a thing. I think most South Africans have dealt with it some way or another. But it's not just for white Afrikaners. We have to like say that as well. It's not just for white Afrikaners. I know the media is saying it is only white. It's not. It's for the minorities.
Here's a question in my mind is, I know the Americans a little bit. I've been to the USA a number of times. I know the enormous hospitality and the openness of the American people, and I can imagine that they welcome you and your family with exactly those open arms as well. But you're coming to your arrival in America is tagged with the word genocide. So when you meet Americans on the street or in the cafe or in the building, maybe not in the building where you live because there's only refugees living there, but when you encounter Americans, do they treat you and embrace you as such, the victim of genocide?
No.
How do they view your status? How do they view it?
Well, first of all, we don't tell everyone. Nobody asks you, are you a refugee? You know, I think it helps to be in a country where there's such a diverse amount of nationalities together. Everyone asks us, where are you guys from, because of their accents. That apparently they struggle to understand our accents, but for us, it's the same thing. But and we say South Africa, and they're just very welcoming.
Yeah.
No one's ever asked us about the genocide or anything like that.
Yeah. I tell you what, let me put this to you because then you'll understand my question better. I recently spoke to Jaco Kleinans, who's from Solidarity. He's the international relations guy, and he had just been on a tour through America. And he said one of the things that he's very happy about is the fact that, he said, if I stop at a gas station, a petrol station, wherever, and people hear my accent and they say, "Oh, you're from South Africa," they all knew about what is going on in South Africa. Everybody would embrace him and say, "We know about the farm murders. We know about what's going on in your country." So my question is a little bit based on that, is do people
They know.
they meet you, when they meet and they say, "Oh, you're South African," they hear your accent, do they then put that label on you or that?
Yes, they know. They know. Everyone will talk about the meeting in the White House, though.
Yeah.
The big meeting that had every Afrikaner on their seats in front of the TV that day. So everyone talks about that. Everyone knows. It is. They talk about it.
Yeah. I guess the question that I want to get to is that when you talk about South Africa yourself, then to people in the USA who recognizes your accent and know about the White House incident, etc., would you use the word genocide to describe the situation in South Africa to them? In other words, as President Trump has said, there's a genocide in South Africa. Would you say yes, President Trump is correct?
Yes.
Is there's indeed
absolutely.
a genocide?
Absolutely is correct.
Yeah. I want to talk to you on this last
I think people are too scared. People in South Africa are scared to say it.
Yeah.
We were scared to say it. I think, and this was very difficult at the interviews as well, because this is what you have to say, but you are so used to being told it's not true, it's not a thing, it's false, that you start living in the fear instead of just talking about it. And then you have this opportunity where you say it, and then you realize, oh my soul, it's not normal.
If I understand it correctly.
Yes, I would say that. I try not to talk politics with anyone, especially new people I just meet. I'm not a politic kind of person. I say to you, I talk beauty and shoes, and I'm just a mother. But yes, I would. That's how I would label it. Absolutely.
You said now, and I can't paraphrase 100%, but you said they want you to say that. Is that reference to the people at the embassy that you spoke to when you had the interview?
Yes.
They want you to use the word genocide.
Well, you don't have to use it in so much words, but yeah, it comes down to that.
Yeah, yeah. Let's talk about, and that's the last subject then, is you're an Afrikaner. I'm an Afrikaner as well. We are very close to our culture.
Mm.
You are, you in a way, you are taking a distance from your culture. You will see your two sons growing up becoming Amerikaners and not Afrikaners, I would imagine. I think that's the reality of it all.
Yes.
Does that A do something to you on the inside here as an Afrikaner? Because I know that I've been in Europe for so many, many, many years, but I am still incredibly very much close to my Afrikaans identity. Are you scared or live in fear of that you would finally have to relinquish that, let that go, say goodbye
I
to it?
am. Yes, as a mother, absolutely. Especially my kids went to an English school already, so but I find them talking more Afrikaans since we got here than in South Africa.
Yeah, but that's because it's their secret language now.
Yeah. But even at home,
Mm.
and I think they also, even though they're children, they are very much aware what's going on, and they are very much aware that they've they that things might change. Everything's different here. And I
Yeah.
always say, Christian always used to say to me, and especially if we're in groups or at a gathering, he would make a comment a lot of times. It's like, all you Afrikaans mothers are the same, because we all start with your foot there, or
Yeah.
you start counting. And
Yeah.
he would always make a comment on that, like, all you Afrikaans mothers are the same. So now I tell them, you will still get disciplined in Afrikaans, you know.
Was it?
But yeah, it's a thing, and I am scared, but I will try and we'll try to keep that much alive.
Yeah.
Um, but it's their future, But I would love for them to keep a bit of that identity, their Afrikaner, because that's where they are, and it's running in their blood. They'll always be Afrikaners.
Yeah. Was it tough for them? Tough for them to say goodbye to their little friends?
Very, very, very tough.
Mm. Okay.
No,
Um,
it was very hard. And I think it was very hard for them to say goodbye to the great grandmothers.
yeah. 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 Any chance of you guys going back soon in the next year or so to visit the family or the family coming to visit you?
Family will come and visit us.
Yeah. Yeah.
They'll either come and visit us or they'll join us.
Yeah, yeah. You talk about join us now. You mentioned that, is it your mother or you said your mother has
No,
now
no. Rian's
your
grandmother.
your husband's grandmother. She has just
Yes,
received a go
yes,
that she'll be able to join you in the USA.
yes. Yeah.
Fantastic. That'd be wonderful. Um, and let me close with this. I've seen some of your podcasts. I think you do a great job. So congratulations on that. I think you're
Thank
helping
you.
other South Africans to navigate this, obviously, which is not that easy, quite a tough path.
That actually just started for friends and family, and then yeah, got a
It's
bit.
taking off. There's clearly a great interest, and I think many people knocking on the doors in Pretoria at the moment. And you express also, and this is the point I want to get to, is you express a sense of a feeling of being grateful for the opportunity given to your family, the opportunity of
I am.
getting refugee status. Um, I had a look about refugee status in the rest of the world, and I thought I'll mention this to you and get your comment. Uh, Trump's ceiling for refugees has been set at 7,500 now. So you're
Yes.
lucky that you were part of that. Biden was at 125,000, I think. So it's a little bit more free. But here's the point I want to make, is that there is, at the moment, as you and I sit and speak here, there are 117 million people around the world hoping, dreaming, praying for refugeeship. 117.3 million people. So
No, we were very blessed. Very blessed.
Yeah.
I do not like the word lucky. We were blessed.
Yeah. I think you're right in that, Lillie. I think you were very, very blessed indeed. Thank you so much for talking to me.
Chef, thank you, Johan. Thanks for the opportunity.
I wish you all the very, very, very best. Last question before I go. I know you're in contact with lots of people. Is your impression that there are a lot of people queuing up to go as well in South Africa at the moment?
Yeah. So many, so many. And I think there's so many people that it's actually, people are depending on this. They are praying. This is their lifeline. This is the final straw of hope for them.
Yeah. Lillie, thank you very much. Thanks so much for talking to me.
Thank you, Johan. Have a great day.